All right, thank you for coming. I appreciate it, and I'm John Zarbano. I'm running for Congress. I am running as a Democrat against the five-term incumbent Glenn Grothman, and I have a couple housekeeping matters to get out of the way first. I live in Oshkosh. I am a husband, a father, a grandfather, and a retired lawyer. I was practicing law. I graduated, we'll see in a minute, from Tulsa, and I stayed there and practiced law as a bank lawyer, where I met my wife. She's a native of Marinette, Wisconsin, and in 1998, we moved back to Wisconsin to be near her parents. Since then, Wisconsin's been my home. Tonight, well, I want to explain some of the reasons which caused me to run. First, of course, was the insurrection on January 6, 2021. No further explanations necessary. Second is Glenn Grothman voted in March of 2022, a month after Russia invaded Ukraine, against suspending normal trade relations with Russia. I wrote him. Then, in November of 2022, he ran unopposed for his fifth term. And I turned to my wife and I said, this stops now. That's what's caused me to run. So tonight, what I want to do is, my purpose is twofold. First, I want to give you a little PowerPoint to show you the difference, side-by-side difference. And then second, to listen to your concerns, to hear how I can best represent you in Congress. So let's just get started with, click. Nope, let's not do that. Let's go forward. Okay, first off, we're going to do education and experience. Now, as you can see, both of us are lawyers. I did my bachelor's and master's at University of Nebraska at Omaha, where I was born, and my law degree at University of Tulsa. He did his bachelor's at University of Wisconsin and did his law degree at University of Wisconsin. Now, I don't know, law school is 3 years to take it. I did it in 2.5. He did it in 5, or he may have not got admitted right off the bat. He and I were both admitted to our respective states. I, with my practice, had an additional Nebraska, where my home, obviously Wisconsin, where my home is now, and Ohio. He and various district courts. So education's pretty much a wash. Let's go. So I had 35 years of practice advocating for people and businesses. Martindale Hubbell, now Martindale Hemco, awarded me AV, which means highest ability, highest legal ability, and ethical standards. My peer review, this is when they talk to other lawyers on the other side of the argument, is 5 out of 5, and of course my client review was 5 out of 5. And Glenn, I suppose, practiced law for 10 years. He got no rating, got no peer review, got no client review. I win this page. Okay, political experience. I've got none. I've got no voting record. This is my first election, my first race. Political experience for Glenn. He was 20 years, in 10 years in the Assembly, 10 years in the Senate, and now 10 years in in Congress representing the 6th CD. Voting record, you all know his voting record. So you decide who wins this page. All right, first off, let's talk about his position on women's rights. And I'm not talking just about reproductive rights. He voted against, I would support all of these. He voted against the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act. He voted against Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. He voted against women's health, ensuring access to abortion, and right to contraception. I'm going to show you later on about veterans. LGBTQ+, he voted against the Respect for Marriage Act. This is the one where Senator Baldwin says, when she was wrangling up votes in the Senate, one of her colleagues said, "You'll never get 60 senators on this." And she just turned to him and said, "Watch." And she got it. All right, so next one is workers' rights. This is protecting the right to organize for union labor. He votes against it. I would vote for it. I put this one in, this one didn't go anywhere, but the Working Family Flexibility Act of 2017. This sounds like a really great deal. You know, it's flexible, it's for working families. It eliminated compensation for overtime, so that instead of overtime, they could have time off equal to 1.5 times. Unfortunately, it was at the discretion of the employer. It wasn't a good act. Okay. Veterans. We have the problems facing veterans are numerous. I mean, these are just 5. Transitioning from active duty to civilian life, PTSD and gaps in mental health, missing camaraderie and a sense of purpose, obviously navigating the VA bureaucracy for access to benefits, and even lack of transportation to get to realize their benefits. I would, in my mind, every dollar that puts someone in uniform, there should be $5 allocated for when they take that uniform off to help them. And that's in addition to solving those problems. All right, this is going to be a little bit, he voted, this is Grothman versus Grothman. In April of this year, he voted for veterans, the Student Veteran Benefit Act, which basically said that we won't charge if the FTC says that there was fraud and in the course that you took, we won't charge your VA benefit for education because of that. And also the economic opportunity. But when he didn't have an opponent in 2022, he voted against the Fairness Act, the Veteran Service Recognition Act. The Veterans Recognition Act had to do with non-citizens serving the United States. And the Veteran Service Recognition Act allowed them to have the same benefits without the immigration status causing a problem. Glenn voted against that. Also, it's dual delivery, optimal, urgent labor access for veterans. It's I cannot pronounce the acronym for that. But this one, hang on a second, because I'm going to read this one. This one, he voted against, and this one requires the Department of Veterans Affairs, the VA, to study the feasibility and advisability of furnishing doula services to pregnant and formerly pregnant veterans with respect to postpartum care who are enrolled in VA healthcare programs. So again, he's voting against women who are veterans. All right. This is really a sore spot with me. Glenn Grothman, they all talk about the border, how bad the southern border is, and what a problem it is. Now you have to remember that in 1986, Congress passed the Immigration Reform and Control Act. And under that, that's where we get our I-9s from. The purpose was for that act was to have a Band-Aid while Congress worked on and passed comprehensive immigration reform. Never happened. Almost 40 years later. And we had one when Senators Sinema of Arizona, Langford of Oklahoma, and Murphy of Connecticut came up after 4 or 5 months, came up with that compromise Senate bill that Trump said no, and it didn't even make it out of the gate. And I would resurrect that bill and support it because it ends catch and release. It adjudicates migrants' claims, among other things. It's got dignity and due process. It adjudicates migrants' claims rapidly. It increases border security, and it imposes strict asylum. So what Glenn Grothman, it's like I tell the grandkids, don't cry until you try. All they do is cry. On soil, the farmers know that if you take care of the soil, it will take care of you. We have over 1 million acres of farmland in the 6 CD. And we have to, I would support the bills. These are bills pending in Congress. They're education, training, and management bills. One thing that we have to do is we have to find ways to help the farmers protect themselves against rapidly changing weather. For example, to have the crops in by May 31 to have crop insurance take effect, they ran into trouble because of the rain that we had. We had the wet spring. So the two things is that we have to help farmers deal with climate change and education and training. And we have to help make our 1 million acres a carbon sponge to actually take the carbon out of the air. Now, opposed to that is Glenn Grothman, who co-sponsored the No American Climate Corps Act. American Climate Corps is Joe Biden's take on the Civilian Conservation Corps of Roosevelt. And the American Climate Corps wants to have 20,000 young folks educated and employed to help solve climate. He introduced, co-sponsored bills to do away with that. And let's not forget, back in 2014, when he was getting ready to go to Congress, or still in the state Senate, he said that global warming is not man-made, and there's not any of it. So, it's your choice. It's your choice between bridging the divide or not. This gentleman that I'm talking to, he's in the, this was July 6th at the Marquette County Fair. And they have Democrats in Marquette County. You have to find them. You have to look really hard, because they'll look around before they say yes. But this gentleman obviously is not. But I talked to him for about 20 minutes, half an hour, about things we agreed on. Actually, it's kind of easy to agree in Marquette County because, one, education, K through 12, their buildings are crumbling down. They don't have access to any post-secondary education, and they don't have a hospital in Marquette County. They don't have a medical clinic in Marquette County. They don't even have broadband. Limited, excuse me. They have some limited broadband in Marquette County. So they can't even get online courses or telemeds. So we can either go with these guys on your right or bridge the divide. That's the little presentation to show you the difference of what we've got going here. I don't know if this will work or not. I'm just going to turn this off. Because now you're going to talk, and you're going to tell me how I can best represent you. Go ahead. Anybody.
How can you win?
Huh?
That's how can you win?
Okay,
That's the thing.
I'm glad you asked that. But hang on a second, let me get rid of this. Shut down.
Good question.
Okay. Here's, oh, I'm so sorry. I'll go back here. Winning. Here's how. Winnebago will stay, based upon Judge Janet Protasewicz's election last year, and based upon the actions of my opponent, and speaking of my opponent, we are getting national coverage. He's getting negative coverage. And as Napoleon says, never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake. So, how do we win? We keep Winnebago blue and make it bluer. Columbia County, blue, make it bluer. Ozaki County was 4 points away from blue on Judge Janet's. That's huge because the demographic has changed even in the past year. So it's going to take 247,000 votes for me to win. Glenn can, and that means that we have to get out the vote. We have the message, we have the right message. First off, women's rights. And again, I'm not talking just about reproductive freedom. I am talking about men and women in this country have the personal, fundamental, constitutionally protected right to make decisions about their own lives. And for women, that includes reproductive freedom. Also includes in vitro fertilization, the right to contraception. So the key votes are going to come from unregistered eligible voters. The get out the vote movement has got to be huge, because we have to overcome the inertia of just going in and voting R, just without even considering the candidate or the candidate's voting record. There is, as when I was there in Marquette County, it would say, I ran into a gentleman and he says, I'm not a Democrat. I said, nobody's perfect. But that was a joke. Come on, this is a tough room. Okay, women's rights all the way down, including veterans, women, veterans. We have to get the unregistered voters out. The women vote is going to do it for us. Veterans are going to do it for us. Unions are going to do it for us. And then Fond du Lac County, I think we can I think we can make it purple.
That would be
Make
awesome.
it purple. All we have to do is move the needle. In Marquette County, you got to move it 11 points. That's a big lift.
Yeah.
In Waushara County, you got to move it 9 points. Not so much in Fond du Lac County. So how can we win? We get the vote out. We target, there are approximately in the 6 CD 100,000 age-eligible voters who are not registered. So that's where we're going to get the 60, 70,000 votes we need. Next question. Yes?
How are you going to get those young people to vote?
The college.
We have one.
Unfortunately, I will not be 18 in November.
That's all right. You can still
Tell your
encourage
older
people.
friends.
Oh, I'm trying. I
Okay.
promise.
Ripon College Democrats will be back in this after summer. The UW Oshkosh Democrats will be back. They are going to mobilize Wisco Project. Are you familiar with Wisco? Okay, they are attacking the larger counties, by the more populous counties. We have got to remember that we are, the 6th CD is the forgotten county. The DCCC doesn't fund it. The DCCC doesn't fund, I'm gonna get in trouble, I know that. Doesn't take interest in trying to flip a seat unless it's less than R+3, or Republican plus 3 percentage points. You know, we were, Janet lost by +9, R+9, it lost in the 6th CD by R+9. So that, and and the Republicans fail to run qualified candidates because they don't have to. But
Jessica King complained that in Oshkosh, the college kids, they didn't go down the ballot, and they didn't vote for her. And that's what kind of lost, didn't put it together. And so that's just something to be aware of. You're talking about the Oshkosh and whatever, but they didn't come through for her her last election.
Well, when I retired from the practice of law, I must have got underfoot because my wife looked at me and said, "You're going back to work. I need for you to run my theater." She was chair of the theater department. at UW Oshkosh. So I went in and I know those kids. So I went in and ran the front of house for a number of years until she retired, and then I just quit. But I also taught the intro to drama course, and I also taught entertainment law at UW Oshkosh. So I've already got my foot in. I've already got their attention. So I don't think I'm going to have Jessica King's problem, but now that you've said that, I'll make sure of it, that I don't have Jessica King's problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Yes.
You maybe don't know off the top of your head, but I'm curious about what your schedule is between now and, let's say, October. The reason I'm asking is because, like I said, it was kind of off the wall because I'd been gone for a few days, so I read my paper late today and I went, there's somebody down, and I didn't know you were running, first of all.
Yes.
And I said, there's somebody down there. I came out of the garden, I probably still have weeds in my hair. I said, I gotta hear what this guy has to say. I'm gonna tell you right now, there wasn't one thing in that, and there isn't one thing in this that I don't think is awesome. What scares me, I've lived in Ripon 9 years, and I'm very cautious about speaking my truths in the city of Ripon. I'm sorry, but it's the way Ripon people are, and in Fond du Lac County. It's very Republican.
Oh, it is.
These people scare the heck out of me.
Oh, that's,
So what I can't understand is how anyone could read this and read that and not go, duh, why are we not voting for this? What I don't understand is why no one has ever run against Mr. Grothman. I've met the man 2 times and I could have slapped him
They
both
have
times.
and they've lost.
Okay, see, no one's ever run against him since I've been.
They've had great people run against.
Yeah.
And why did they always lose?
Because it's a Republican.
Not if people came out and voted, would you say, or, I mean.
Because people that have voted Republican, they don't even look at the candidates. They've always voted Republican, their grandparents
Yeah.
voted Republican, and they're gonna vote Republican.
But I think some of the things that's happened in our government in the
But you would
past
think in the
year or
last
2
8
is
years,
really
we've done a lot
starting to
happening.
wake up some
Yeah.
people about what the future holds.
I mean, I think you really need to get into Fond du Lac County, big time.
oh
Us.
yeah. I've already been on the radio.
Green
and-
Lake County.
Yeah, Green Lake, I'm going there. I do
I
have.
mean, I don't know, I'm not even sure where all your thing goes. Where I've always seen Mr. Grothman is at parades.
And Rush
Brat fries, brat fries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Where at?
brat fries.
Oh, prop fries, yeah.
Pancake breakfast.
Big into the parades. And,
Word has it, he'll show up for a single donut.
oh, not a single, yeah. So it just appalls me every year, or every time we have an election, and there's nobody on the ballot for most of the choices, but his in particular.
Yeah.
And every time he opens his mouth, everybody is appalled at the things he says, you know, publicly.
Right.
Everybody goes, oh my God, how could he say that? But yet every time, click, he wins. So you have a big job ahead of you.
We do.
I mean, I pray.
Okay, well, we're gonna have to change, yes, prayer is good, but knocking doors is better.
That's right.
So, I was hoping Claire would be here, but,
I can tell you why she's not here,
why?
because the Wisconsin Democratic Party pulled all their, they pulled them all because of the assassination. So they pulled all their events and they pulled all their organizers
Right.
for the time being.
Oh,
I don't know when they're gonna come back, but she actually called me today, wanted to know, you know, what I was hearing. And then I asked her if she was gonna be here, and she said no, because they've all been pulled. They've been told to stay out of the public.
well, Claire, is the field organizer for
Okay.
Fond du Lac County. And,
Okay.
get a hold of her or Joe or, Mary Beth Hayes and,
Go to the fair.
hmm?
Go to the fairs.
Yes, I
Hop in
turned
there.
off my computer, but trust me, I'm busy.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going everywhere. Yes,
So you talked to the Trump supporter in Marquette County.
I did.
And you and he had some common ground.
Yes.
Did he say that he was gonna vote for you?
I did not ask him. I did not ask him if he would. But he definitely took all my literature, including a donation. And so
Wow.
I didn't ask. It was a special moment for me, especially, so I didn't ask. Yes?
Just a suggestion more than anything else is, I sent out an email today to my group.
Thank you, Art, thank you.
And the thing is I wonder whether you could, if it would be to your advantage on your website to maybe go out like 2 weeks in advance to where you're gonna be for appearances, because I need it, I heard from the Green Lake Dems on Saturday that you were gonna be here, and, she mentioned that it was in the paper and that, which is great, but sometimes, that extra little boost. So, long story short, is if you've got this and on, Saturday, you're gonna be at Green Lake.
Yeah,
So could you put that on your website?
sure,
or,
sure. I will put, I'll add a section to my website, upcoming events.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good
I
idea.
think that would be a good idea.
All right.
I mean, if people meet you and just listen for 5 minutes and they could just read this.
Yeah.
They don't have to question, well, where should I mark this or this? It doesn't, it's,
Well, we have.
but they gotta know,
They've got to know, they've got to know.
Can I mention one thing, you're saying about worrying about what you say in that?
I have,
The city of Ripon has gone Democrat for a number of years in their elections.
a couple things.
Much of that is probably due to the college, but still, that's what it is. And believe me, for probably close to a year, my Trump for prison flag flew proudly in my front yard, except for the fact that it finally got so tattered that I had to pull it down. So don't be afraid to go and tell the people who you are.
Makes me nervous, some of these people, I just kinda, you overhear people and you're just like, wow. I come from the area by Barebow and Reedsburg, and we were covered, well, Ron Kind was our guy for a million years, and he was awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm from an area that always votes, blue, so to come over here was, my son warned me when we retired and we were coming, he said, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's red, and I said, ugh.
We can,
I
We
have
can
more
make it purple.
sympathy for you than Art does.
You what?
I have more sympathy for you than Art does. Because
It-
I don't go out, I guess maybe it's a mistake on my part, but I don't go out of my way here.
Broadcast,
The college is like a separate
they are,
world from everything else. And I'm not any way associated with the college. So I let people talk, and if it's obvious that
Yeah.
then I don't agree, I don't try to get into a big argument with them. But
Don't have to hurt you.
But there are a lot of like-minded people in
There
this
are.
area. There are.
I just don't want to
I'm
talk.
I'm gonna trust you on that.
go ahead.
So I'm the president of the social justice group here at the high school in Ripon.
Okay.
And you mentioned the Gay Marriage Act and how Grothman voted against it. If you were in the House, what would you do to protect LGBTQ rights?
Okay. Every man, every woman has personal, fundamental, constitutionally protected right to make their decision, to make their own decisions about their own lives. Any law that infringes upon that will face strict scrutiny. So, in answer to your question, I would oppose any limitation. No right is absolute. There's the only one absolute in the law, and that is no right is absolute. But any limitation on that personal, fundamental, constitutionally protected right would face strict scrutiny. And I would apply that. That is, again, the highest standard when a fundamental right is, it's got to be narrowly tailored, compelling state interest, etc. So that's what I would do. I would examine every law that would affect that personal right. You look like you want to ask me a question.
Me?
No?
Oh.
Yeah.
I was wondering about how you were going to work with voter empathy. Because that's obviously a problem as well.
Yes.
People think, why should I vote? It doesn't matter.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I've heard that so many times, and I respond that it does matter. You have to care. You have to care about yourself and your family and your friends, and that's why I've got as my values I take to Congress: education, healthcare, and kindness. And all I mean by kindness is looking out for the other person. And once you tell them that we have to look out for each other. If you don't vote, then you're not looking out for each other. And so that's how I combat it. Yes.
What's your policy on universal health care?
I have, first off, I'm going to be in trouble for this, but I am not Medicare for all. I have devised, let me explain. When he was in his second year of medical school, our eldest was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. And we had to wrestle, he and I had to wrestle Social Security and Medicare to get him treatment. So what that fight led me to was to develop a I'm going to take hospitals out and pharmacy out. Those groups are just too big for the state to handle. But I have developed a plan, this is why I'm going to get in trouble, that provides direct medical care, doctors, lab, physical therapy, etc., without, complete, universal, from 65 down. If they're covered by Social Security, or excuse me, Medicare, Medicaid, VA, any other governmental program, they don't apply. This is just the folks that buy health insurance, because I sat there and I'm saying to myself, if I need health care, why am I buying insurance? Why don't I buy health care? And so I devised a plan, a statutory plan, whereby, without using tax dollars, people pay, I can show you that if you want, but people pay, all of the Wisconsinites pay into the state of Wisconsin for a fund, a trust fund, single-purpose trust fund. All of the licensed medical practitioners in the state of Wisconsin form the network. Then the state of Wisconsin the network issues their own prices, they issue their own procedures, their appeals, their payment schedules, and then there's about 4 million people that fit, Wisconsinites that fit in this group under 65 for medical services, and then the state of Wisconsin negotiates with the network on healthcare. It is it's an extension of direct primary care. Direct primary care is you go to the doctor, you say, well, the doctor says, if you pay me $125 a month, you get this many visits, this many shots, this many lab works, and that's what we got. What this does is that it takes that premium, that's a premium, and you pay it into Wisconsin, and Wisconsin manages the money. The State of Wisconsin Investment Board manages the money and pays, and out of that trust fund pays the claims.
But it's not, that doesn't cover hospitals, you said.
Yeah,
Hospitals
it's-
aren't involved.
That's because, I gotta stay here, sorry. That's because hospitals, you can still buy insurance for hospitals. I didn't explain one part.
Oh, so through the Affordable Care Act, are you saying?
No. This is, you have to get, it has the same benefits guaranteed by the Affordable Care Act. But it will need a waiver from Congress. It would need a waiver from the Affordable Care Act to work. When you buy insurance, when you buy home insurance, you don't expect that your house will burn down. When you buy health insurance, you plan to use it. So insurance is not a sustainable for every day, go to the doctor, get your shots, get your lab work done, is not sustainable. Insurance is not sustainable for that because the premiums are out of whack. So hospitals, let me put it this way. How many times a year do you go to the hospital? How many times a year do you go to the doctor? So you buy insurance if you're not covered by a federal or state program. You buy insurance to pay the hospital and the medical bills and the pharmacy bills. What my plan is that it takes the most used and eliminates the insurance company. So that you don't have to pay for their bill, the insurance company's building, the insurance company's CEO, so you remove that so that the cost, of what you're paying for is healthcare.
But people go online and enroll in the Affordable Care Act. That's not an insurance building or anything. I just don't understand how you could ever develop this plan as a congressperson. I think it's totally unrealistic. I think,
Okay.
I mean, I have great insurance, I'm retired. And, but I'm concerned about people that don't have insurance. And, I mean, I guess for them, it's the Affordable Care Act. But I don't know
Affordable
how
Care
you
Act is
implement
insurance.
this plan for 4 million people in the state of Wisconsin. Who runs it? How long would it even take to implement? I mean, as quickly as government moves, or any type of a bureaucracy like that. I don't see it.
Okay. I didn't explain it. Yes.
One thing that I don't see on your thing, and I didn't see in there, but it will come up from your opponent's people, is the economy. And it sucks because of people like you, it's all our fault,
Well,
and it sucks supposedly. Are you better off now, blah, 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 and all I can say is I'm doing pretty darn good. But they always throw that in my face when I'm somewhere and people
they
know
haven't been
who I
paying
am.
attention.
And they're blaming, well, look at how terrible the economy is and prices and everything. And so be ready, just be ready
The
for it.
economy is stronger than goat's breath, okay?
Yeah.
We are within 1% of Jerome Powell's inflationary target. We're 1 point away. Wages are outpacing inflation.
sure.
I mean, whoever says that the economy is terrible isn't
Are
paying
idiots,
attention to the facts.
But that's what they think, though.
That's what they
Well,
think.
And that's how they're gonna vote.
Well, and we're not gonna be able to convince them that think that way. We have got to get the vote out for the unregistered voters that will listen to facts, that will listen. You don't believe people will listen, do you?
A lot of them don't, no.
A lot of them don't.
Their mind is made up right now.
Well,
And that's
I'm
not
talking
gonna
about
change.
getting to the ones that aren't made up. Yes, we have got to reach the unregistered, the age-eligible unregistered, that are apathetic, that haven't made up their mind because no one's asked them. We have got to ask them. Yeah.
One thing you did, when you contrasted you and Mr. Grossman, one thing, and this is a thing, I mean, we're all very high-minded here, but politics isn't always like that.
That's true.
And one big advantage politically that I think you have is you have a wife and children. Mr. Grossman doesn't. He's lived with his mother for a long time.
100 years.
That is a political thing you could use.
In the state of Wisconsin, in our area for sure, family is a big deal. Happy
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, and
And, you know, okay, you can say, well, that doesn't really affect policy. I understand that, but we're talking politics here. We're talking about getting elected.
all right, do you happen to have pictures of him living in his mother's basement?
Well, everybody knows he lives there.
Well, I
It's a
personally
legal
don't, but
address.
you could bring it up.
I don't think that works. I think last time, the other elections when they ran against him, they all talked about it and they're all, forget about him eating, forget about him going to eating donuts, forget about all this. He shows up, people see him, forget about where he lives because we want a right to live wherever we want. So I don't care if he lives in his mother's basement. More power to him. But what about you? You have to convince people that you're the one, and that's maybe what Gary is saying also. I don't think running him down will ever win.
No. Other than to keep pushing what he said.
Yeah, what his
And what
policies
he
are.
voted for,
Yeah.
and what you're
I
voting
agree
for.
with you.
Yeah.
What his policies are.
He's my best opposition.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too hard when you
Researcher and writer.
put it on a list.
Right.
Oh, I brought that, in case anybody has missed that. I brought copies of the article about his speech, if anybody wants that.
Well, and the Ripon paper has certainly been critical of him on
Oh, Tim
numerous
liked it.
occasions.
Jim hates him.
Tim, like,
But, you know, so that's, you know.
And then there's
people
12
say-
letters the next week that are like,
Yeah, but even
you know.
last week's letters were pretty positive for the Democratic side, you know, so, and that's another thing, writing letters to the editor. you know.
Yes, I want to get that group started. Go ahead, let me get your question first.
So a big job of being a House representative is representing the people, right?
Yes.
And communicating with the people in your district. But that's something Grothman has failed to do, right? He's only ever in his congressional district to campaign and secure his seat. If you were in the House, how would you communicate properly with the people in your district?
I would, how can I say this? I would respond. He doesn't respond. You send him an email, he doesn't respond. You call him on the phone, you get a staffer at best. I will respond to every call, to every email, no matter how long it takes, no matter how long I gotta stay up at night. I will do that. I will do that because it's my job as your representative to listen and act. And even if we don't agree, at least you'll know why. So,
I must admit, I've always found him to actually be very responsive. Maybe I just have some kind of odd thing, but.
I
have
have
never had
too.
him respond to me ever.
He's written me letters back when I've
Yeah.
called his office, and his reps at least answer the phone.
Right.
Don't try to call Ron
Yeah,
Johnson and get a
yeah.
response, at least with Grothman. And he does have district meetings, he'll meet in different places. So, but he listens to you, but he never votes the way that I would want to see him
Right.
vote.
He doesn't
I mean,
represent your values.
Exactly. He does not represent my values. Thank you.
Plus his letters are boilerplate in a lot of instances, you
Oh,
know.
yeah.
You can pretty much, if I've signed petitions and stuff like that and emailed him, and, you can, if you do get a response, you know what it's gonna be already, because.
Yeah.
No, I agree, but at least it's a response.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing is too is, I get his weekly newsletters, and almost invariably he's got some where he's been somewhere, either at a Legion brat fry or some other thing. So he does get around. He's got a good organization when it comes to being able to get himself out there in front of people. At least I think he does.
Well, yeah, he's been at it for 30 years, so.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to come back to you're saying that you have to somehow get the unregistered voters.
Right.
In my experience, and for a number of years, I was in and out of hospitals and numerous times. And I talked to every nurse's aide about voting and because it's really a part of who I am. And not one of them, young nurses, young doctors, they weren't voting. And the reason they give is they're all corrupt, doesn't matter to me. And literally, I'm not lying, not one of them in Fond du Lac Hospital that I talked to was voting. And so I want to know, how are you going to reach the young people? They got young families, they're busy, and they think that all politicians are corrupt, that there's nothing in it for them, and they have no interest in it. They don't want to read about it. I want to know how you're going to reach those people. And then I want to say, I heard Chris Gordon, who's running against Alex Dahlman, reach somebody like that at the Pride Fest, which was held in Ripon. And I just talked to this guy, and he said, no, I never vote, it's all. And she went up to him, and she started talking to him, and got him to talk about what he was interested in. By the time she was done, he took her card, and he shook her hand, and was really listening to her. So, part of it is you showing up like at places like that. I wondered why you weren't there, or some of these other places, and really having an opportunity to listen to these people and then share with them. Because I was really impressed with what she was able to do in her conversation with them.
Yeah, Chris is great. She is really great. Yes.
I have a question, it's a little bit off topic. When you were doing your presentation, you had Glenn's negativity on one side, your positivity on the other side. How are you gonna pay for it? Because Glenn's things are, by being negative, he's not spending money, which is what people want to see.
Yeah, that's the old vote no and take the money and the credit. How am I going to pay for it? Well, you have to have a tax code that does what a tax code is supposed to do, a fiscal policy. One, it promotes economic growth, and two, it pays for the federal programs that we need and want. The problem is that you can't grow your way out of debt. You can't tax your way out of debt. You can't cut your way out of debt. You have to do all three in different times and in synchronized gears. Let me explain. Jerome Powell's got we got fiscal policy, monetary policy. Monetary policy, that's the Fed. Jerome Powell's got one tool. All he's got is the hammer of the Fed fund rate and to control the money supply. When we talk about fiscal policy, we talk about what do we want to have? What do we want to give? What do we need? And That's where the debate happens. But the governments and businesses work in inverse cycles. When in good times, in good times, businesses borrow money and expand. In lean times, they pay back debt and either status quo or contract. Governments, however, should, in good times, increase taxes and pay down the debt and pay for the needs of the federal government. And in lean times, cut income taxes and increase debt. So that you have a cycle, but what happens is that that's where we get the label tax and spend liberal Democrats. But then all the Republicans do is give tax cuts to the rich.
But it was a tax cut though.
Huh?
But it was a tax cut, see?
Which increased the debt by trillions of dollars.
But a lot of people want to hear is, oh, it was a tax cut.
Well, then we have to educate them is that
It's no secret our tax code is not exactly fair to the middle class, and
Yeah.
No, Lisa,
so
that needs to be worked on.
that's how I would pay for it, in cycles.
How would you decide the cycles?
That's a matter for the debate. I mean, that's what you're talking about is the key factors. When do you announce? Do you watch any Bloomberg or CNBC or any of those? They have like 100 people talking about what the next move is. Same thing would apply with respect to a flexible tax code. But all I'm saying is that our present system, all it's going to do is increase the debt. So our way of doing things is all it's going to do is increase the debt. And we've got to put a stop to that. People listen. If you talk to them, they will listen to you. I listen to you. Questions? Go ahead.
Will you be, the sales of newsprint continue to decline. So will you be able to do any television ads or?
That's going to depend upon fundraising. I mean, we have gotten, I announced that Caitlin Stoley became our social media expert, and due to the fact that she has been on board after Glenn Grothman opened his mouth on Thursday, this past weekend, we raised $2,000. So, yes, it's going to depend on fundraising, and I'm meeting with a marketing, with 25 years of marketing, who has volunteered. I'm meeting with her on Wednesday, so to develop a marketing plan. So it's all fundraising. It's all fundraising. Yes.
You talked about getting the young vote. You have a Facebook page, right?
Yeah.
So then, are you on Instagram?
I'm on Instagram.
Oh, you are?
I'm on Instagram. I will be on TikTok as soon as Caitlin's gets me on TikTok. I'm sorry. I'm still using stone knives and bear skins. So, any other questions? Well, thank you all for coming, and if you send me an email, I will respond. Just give me a call, give me a text.
I don't know about
thanks.
you, but I gotta check.